Hello there, and welcome to the show. And today I'm going to be talking about AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door 2025. This was the fourth and least interesting edition of Forbidden Door. It took place live on August 24th, 2025, live from the O2 Arena in London, England, with an attendance of over 18,000 people, almost 19,000 people. And on the very next episode of Dynamite, AEW had an attendance of just over 900 people. That's a decline of over 90%. Let's talk about the show. Forbidden Door is a dead concept when it comes to AEW. Over the last 2 or 3 years, Tony Khan has signed several of New Japan Pro Wrestling's top wrestlers. This was the least interesting edition of Forbidden Door. There were 9 matches taking place on this show, and only 4 of these matches had talent from outside promotions. The TNT Championship match, the TBS Championship match, the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match, and the Steel Cage match. The rest of this show was legitimately nothing but AEW wrestlers. Forbidden Door is a dead concept. The only way this can be salvaged is a crossover between AEW and WWE, but that will never happen for a multitude of reasons. I don't think Forbidden Door should return next year. It's a dead concept. This is the least interesting it's ever been, and the build, as usual, was complete laziness. I was not looking forward to the show. Our opening match, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage versus the Matriarchy, represented by Kip Sabian and Killswitch. At All In, Adam Copeland saved Christian Cage, and they hugged, and this was Edge and Christian teaming together for the first time in 14 years. This was initially supposed to be Nick Wayne, however, Nick Wayne was legitimately injured. Luchasaurus was his replacement, and storyline-wise, this makes sense. There is story between Luchasaurus and Christian Cage. Killswitch's return was done pretty well, in my opinion. One of my favorite things about professional wrestling, the live audience singing along to Metalingus by Alter Bridge when Adam Copeland makes his entrance. Always phenomenal. Adam and Kip Sabian started the match, and I thought this was a pretty good tag team match. This was Adam Copeland and Christian Cage teaming together for the first time in 14 years. That in itself was a great moment, and I've enjoyed the story, and the promos they've been cutting have been pretty good in my opinion, and great to see Killswitch back, and this was a pretty good match. Adam and Christian hit an assisted DDT. Christian Cage tagged out so that he wouldn't have to wrestle Luchasaurus. Killswitch hit a vicious thrust kick on Adam. That was a great thrust kick. Copeland hit a baseball slide on Killswitch. Killswitch powerbombed Kip Sabian onto Adam Copeland. Great storytelling there with Killswitch and Kip Sabian. Killswitch chokeslammed Adam Copeland on the apron. Kip tagged himself in. Kip hit a missile dropkick for a 2 count. Killswitch threw Kip Sabian into Adam Copeland. Kip Sabian started complaining to Shayna Wayne. One thing I also want to add, Bryan Danielson was on commentary for the majority of Forbidden Door, and his commentary on Forbidden Door was excellent in my opinion. He added a lot of insight and told decent stories while on commentary. So Bryan Danielson was great on commentary. Killswitch tagged in Kip Sabian, who fell off the apron, and Kip Sabian was bleeding at this point. Shayna distracted Christian, and he was kicked off the apron. A spear doomsday device by Killswitch and Adam Copeland. That was a great spot. Christian Cage and Killswitch are the legal men. Cage took out Kip Sabian. That was a funny moment. Cage took control over Killswitch. Execution on the apron on Killswitch. Cage hit a dive off the top to the outside on Killswitch. Powerbomb and diving headbutt by Edge and Christian, 1 count. Kip tagged himself in. Double impaler DDT on Killswitch. Reverse DDT on Kip Sabian. We had a great spear through the ropes on Killswitch by Adam Copeland. Assisted spear by Edge and Christian on Kip Sabian for the win. And Edge and Christian win their first match as a tag team in over 14 years. Christian Cage offered a handshake, Adam Copeland hugged, and it was very similar to when Tony Khan hugged Kazuchika Okada, which was kind of funny. This was a very good tag team match in my opinion, very good opener. I'm enjoying the story with Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. I think they're doing a really good job with this reunion. I'm enjoying this story, and I enjoyed this match. I thought this was a pretty good opening match. For the TNT Championship, Kyle Fletcher versus Hiromu Takahashi. Fletcher issued an open challenge to anyone in New Japan, and Takahashi was the one who answered it. One of the funniest moments of this match, Lance Archer was taking a selfie while Kyle Fletcher was making his entrance. I thought that was pretty funny. Hiromu hit a running dropkick for 2. Fletcher hit a Snapdragon suplex. Hiromu hit a German suplex. Fletcher hit a phenomenal Michinoku driver. This was a great move by Kyle Fletcher. Fletcher hit a back suplex from the second rope that got him a 2 count. Fletcher hit a great sit-out powerbomb that got him a 2 count. Hiromu countered a suplex on the apron, hit a sunset flip powerbomb from the apron to the floor, and then hit a clothesline for 2. Hiromu hit a destroyer that got him a 2 count. Fletcher hit a jumping tombstone that got him a 2 count. Fletcher hit 2 running knees. Hiromu rolled up Fletcher for 2. Closing sequence, Kyle Fletcher hits a brainbuster for the win and retains the TNT Championship. This was a fine match. Personally, I enjoyed the opening tag team match more than this. Fletcher is very good. Takahashi is very good. This was a solid match. Outcome was not surprising. Kyle Fletcher is not losing the TNT Championship. For what this was, this accomplished exactly what it needed to do. I thought this was a fine match. Fatal 4-way match for the TBS Championship. Mercedes Moné versus Alex Windsor versus Persephone versus Bozilla. One thing that I have to ask, why is Mercedes Moné coming out with the Owen Hart Foundation Tournament championship belt when it is not an active championship? It was a ceremonial belt. She had the match at All In. Why is she still coming out with the championship belt? Everyone surrounded Mercedes starting off the match. They threw her out of the ring. Moné tried to roll up Bozilla. She failed and the crowd got a laugh out of that one. Bozilla then gorilla pressed Mercedes Moné to the outside on Windsor and Persephone. Persephone and Windsor hit a double flapjack on Moné. Bozilla hit a double back suplex on Persephone and Windsor. Persephone then monkey flipped Mercedes. Bozilla caught her and hit a powerbomb. That was a great sequence. Windsor took out Bozilla with an apron powerbomb. Persephone went for a suicide dive but didn't get all of it. We get the Tower of Doom spot. Moné locked in the statement maker on Persephone. Windsor hit a running lariat on Moné and Persephone, locked in a double sharpshooter. Bozilla stepped on the hands of Moné and Persephone so they wouldn't be able to tap out, and then hit a lariat on Windsor. Persephone hit a spear on Windsor. Bozilla hit a chokeslam on Persephone. Bozilla hit a moonsault on Windsor and Persephone. Moné broke up the pin. Mercedes Moné reversed a powerbomb into a Poison Rana that got her a 2 count. Windsor hit a Fisherman Buster on Moné for 2. Persephone hit Razor's Edge on Bozilla. That was very impressive. Windsor locked in a sharpshooter on Persephone. Moné hits a code breaker on Windsor, and Mercedes Moné rolled up Persephone with a Hurricane Rana for the win. Mercedes Moné retained the TBS Championship. No surprise there. I couldn't see Bozilla or Persephone winning this match, and Alex Windsor would go on to challenge Mercedes one-on-one for the championship, which she would ultimately lose. Mercedes Moné is not losing this championship until she breaks Jade Cargill's 508-day record as the TBS champion. This was a great match. I didn't know anything about Persephone or Bozilla before this match, but they both really impressed in this match, especially Bozilla. She was the MVP of this match. This was a very good match. One of the best matches that's ever been contested for the TBS Championship. This was a phenomenal match. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Nigel McGuinness for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Nigel won a fatal 4-way match, if I'm not mistaken, to earn this opportunity. Nigel narrated a promo package, and the crowd was fully invested in this match. Daniel Garcia was in the corner of Nigel McGuinness. This was a great technical wrestling match, but to me, this was a little dull at certain parts. Zack tried to attack Nigel from behind. Nigel saw it coming and hit a great clothesline for 2 count. Zack locked in a cross arm breaker, transitioned that into a leg submission, and then he transitioned that into another arm breaker. The two of them trade uppercuts. Nigel hit a clothesline for 2. Nigel hit a rainmaker for 2. Nigel locked in a triangle choke. Nigel hit the Tower of London, rope break. They trade roll-ups, and Zack Sabre Jr. rolled up Nigel for the win. Post-match, there's a show of respect between Zack and Nigel. Daniel Garcia hugged Nigel McGuinness, and that was it. This match had its dull moments, but overall, this was a fine match, and if you enjoy technical wrestling, this would have been a great match. To me, this was a fine match. Not great, but not bad either. After that, they announced the attendance, and then we got a brawl between Thekla and Queen Aminata. The Triangle of Madness. This is Thekla, Sky Blue, and Julia Hart. Why these three are in a stable together, I have no idea. They attack Aminata, and then Jamie Hayter makes her return, attack the Triangle of Madness, and that was it. The AEW creative team has no plans for Jamie Hayter. She was only brought back to get the hometown pop because she is from the UK, and nothing else. AEW has no plans for Jamie Hayter. Triple threat match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. The Hurt Syndicate versus Brodito versus FTR. MVP was not with the Hurt Syndicate. Brodito and FTR, they fought to a 30-minute draw in the finals of a number one contenders tournament, and that is how we ended up with this match. Tony Khan should really have production meetings before these shows go on the air, because when this match started, Excalibur initially stated that it was a tornado match, so there would be no tags, but then the participants started tagging each other, and Bryan Danielson had to correct him that this isn't a tornado match. And I remember for a while this was advertised as an elimination match, and then it wasn't. Tony, please, have this make sense. There was also a report that came out that the Hurt Syndicate and MVP in particular, there were some issues in regards to creative control and the Hurt Syndicate versus FTR, which did come into play during this match because the Hurt Syndicate and FTR, they barely fought against each other during this match. It was mostly Brodito versus the Syndicate or Brodito versus FTR. So those reports that came out regarding MVP and creative control might actually be legit. Starting out the match, both teams teamed up on the Syndicate, but then the Syndicate were able to regain control. Bandito hit a suicide dive on Shelton Benjamin. Bandito hit a corkscrew on Shelton Benjamin. Brody hit a bossman slam on Cash. Brody hit a sit-out slam on Dax that got him a 2 count. Brody hit a cannonball on Dax and Cash. Brody King and Bobby Lashley face off. Lashley hit a chokeslam on Brody King. Brody King got back up and hits a discus lariat on Lashley. Benjamin hit a series of German suplexes, shatter machine by Brody King and Cash Wheeler. Bryan Danielson asked if anyone knew who the legal man was, which excellent question. Cash went for a suicide dive on the Syndicate but got caught. Brody King hit a suicide dive on all of them. Bandito hit a power slam on Dax off the top rope to the outside, taking out everyone. That was a great moment. Benjamin hit 2 super kicks and a running knee. Running knee and spear by the Syndicate on Brody King. And then 3 guys in New Japan tracksuits came out and started attacking the Hurt Syndicate. These guys had masks on. In the ring, Brodito and FTR continued the match. Dax hit Brody King in the head with a chair. That looked vicious. The guys in tracksuits unmasked themselves mid-match to zero reaction, and it was revealed that this was Ricochet and Gates of Agony. Bryan Danielson tried telling the story that these guys had a backstage segment with MJF, and MJF was kicked out of the Hurt Syndicate. So Bryan Danielson tried to tell somewhat of a story with this, which respect to Bryan Danielson for trying to make sense out of this. Dax hit a superplex on Brody. Bandito hit a frog splash on Dax. Brodito tried to do like a combination monkey flip or whatever it was, but this looked completely ridiculous. Didn't fully work. Bandito failed. He tried to do a redo just when the referee counted 3. It just looked ridiculous. But that being said, Brodito win. Brody King and Bandito, this makeshift tag team, are the new AEW World Tag Team Champions. This match had a lot of nonsense, but this was a fine match. This is the worst the AEW Tag Team division has been in their entire existence. So I can't say I'm excited to see what Brodito does as the tag team champions. Kazuchika Okada versus Swerve Strickland for the AEW Unified Championship. It wasn't made clear if the International and the Continental Championships were also on the line during this match, so I'm guessing Tony Khan still has no idea how to book this Unified Championship problem that he's created for himself. Swerve cosplayed as Mr. Terrific. Okada has a new theme song. Personally, I think his old theme song is better. Don Callis coming out wearing the International and the Continental Championships looks a little ridiculous. Jim Ross was on commentary during this match. Don Callis also joined commentary on this match. Swerve was catapulted over the top rope. The landing was a little awkward. Okada hit a baseball slide. Okada hit a DDT on the steps. Okada hit a neck breaker for a 2 count. Swerve hit a flatliner. Swerve hit an angle slam off the top rope for a 2 count. Swerve missed a stomp on the outside. Okada hit a tombstone on the outside. Okada hit a top rope elbow. Okada hit 2 lariats. Swerve hit a house call. Swerve hit 3 lariats. Okada hit a dropkick. Swerve countered the Rainmaker. Okada responded with another dropkick. Swerve hit a power slam and the Swerve stomp, he was selling the knee that got him a 2 count. Series of counters, Okada hit a dropkick, Swerve hit a house call. And closing sequence, Okada countered a house call and hit a Rainmaker for the win. Kazuchika Okada retains the AEW Unified Championship. No surprise there, he just became the Unified Champion at All In, so he was not gonna lose his first defense. After the match, Okada was attacking the knee of Swerve with a chair. Prince Nana came out with a steel pipe to chase away Okada. Okada left with Don Callis. They're on the ramp. And then a guy in a suit enters the ring, and it was revealed that this was Wardlow. After a year and a half, Wardlow finally reemerges. We can take down the missing posters. Wardlow is back. Wardlow starts attacking Prince Nana. Wardlow then attacks security that came out to stop him. And Wardlow is the latest member of the Don Callis family. So Wardlow is basically back in mid-card purgatory. Don Callis is great, but the Don Callis family now legitimately feels like a collection of directionless mid-card guys. It's like if you're a mid-card heel in AEW and Tony Khan has zero plans for you, you are put in the Don Callis family. I'm actually gonna read a list of everyone currently in the Don Callis family. Don Callis, Konosuke Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, Trent Beretta, Lance Archer, Brian Cage, Mark Davis, Josh Alexander, Rocky Romero, Hechicero, Kazuchika Okada, and Wardlow. 90% of these guys are directionless. Wardlow is basically back to where he was. Tony Khan will have no idea how to book him. AEW have failed Wardlow. Toni Storm versus Athena for the AEW Women's World Championship. Athena cashed in her casino gauntlet match contract to earn this opportunity. She's actually surpassed 1,000 days as the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion as I am recording this video, as if that means anything, because Ring of Honor is a dead brand. It's sad, but it's true. No one cares about Ring of Honor. Luther was not with Toni Storm. Billy Starks was with Athena. Toni took control early with a dropkick, hit Storm Zero on Billy Starks on the outside. Athena hit a great kick on Toni. Athena drove Toni's head into the ring post. Toni rolled up Athena for 2. Toni hit 2 clotheslines and a fisherman suplex. Athena hit a leg sweep, running kick, neck breaker, and butterfly suplex. Great combination by Athena. Why she's not regularly on AEW television, I have no idea. Toni hit a tornado DDT and a tiger driver. Athena hit a thrust kick and an elbow strike for 2. Athena then hit another great combination of a kick, Hurricane Rana, and Liger Bomb. That got her a 2 count. Athena hit an inverted suplex and locked in a submission, rope break. Athena hit a suicide dive. Toni threw Athena into the barricade. Toni hit Storm Zero that got her a 2 count. Billy Starks tried to trip Toni. Athena hit the Eclipse across the ropes. That was a great move by Athena. Mina Shirakawa came out and she chased away Billy Starks. In the ring, Athena and Toni trade roll-ups, and then Toni Storm counters the Eclipse into the chicken wing, and Athena taps out. Toni Storm retains the AEW Women's World Championship, and the Women's Casino contract was wasted. Athena is great. The fact that she's been relegated to Ring of Honor for 1,000 plus days is creative malpractice. This was a very good match between Toni and Athena, but the finish with Athena tapping out after cashing in this open contract, that was horrible. I hated the finish of this match. Athena is great. She should not be tapping out. The women's casino contract was wasted. That was horrible. For 2 consecutive cash-ins, Tony Khan has failed with the casino gauntlet. First with Christian Cage, and now with Athena. This was a very good match. Both Toni and Athena worked incredibly hard in this match. Hangman Adam Page versus MJF for the AEW World Championship. MJF was taunting Hangman with the casino contract, but he was demanding that Hangman give him a shot for the championship at Forbidden Door. Hangman was able to goad MJF into cashing in the contract at Forbidden Door. Prior to that, MJF was kicked out of the Hurt Syndicate, and the promo by MVP where he kicked MJF out, that was a great promo. AEW then reversed this decision when Hangman Adam Page was in the ring cutting a promo and MJF threatened to set Mark Briscoe on fire if Hangman didn't rescind the cash-in. So, right there, making a mockery out of the casino gauntlet match. This was another champion versus champion match. MJF was the CMLL World Light Heavyweight Champion. Another stipulation during this match was if Hangman got disqualified or counted out, he would lose the championship to MJF. Brawl on the outside, Page took control. Page clotheslined MJF over the barricade. MJF rolled up Hangman for 2. MJF hit a pile driver for 2. MJF hit a stomp on the arms. Hangman hit a top rope clothesline. Hangman hit a fallaway slam. Hangman hit an Arihara moonsault on the outside. Hangman hit a great sit-out powerbomb for 2. Page countered the Heat Seeker. MJF countered the buckshot lariat into Salt of the Earth. Page rolled up MJF for a 2 count, then locked in the crossface. MJF rolled up Hangman for 2. Hangman countered another Heat Seeker attempt. MJF hit a cutter and DDT, 2 count. Hangman hit a Deadeye off the apron through a table. Shouldn't that be a disqualification? As you'll come to find out, Bryce Remsburg, who was the official during this match, is a complete idiot. Back in the ring, Hangman gets a 2 count. MJF hit a drop toe hold on Hangman on a chair. MJF threw Page into the steel steps. Hangman was bleeding at this point. MJF hit a tombstone on Page on the remains of the broken table. We get the 9 count because Tony Khan, of course, had to include this. Hangman threw MJF into the steel of the turnbuckle. MJF is also bleeding at this point. Strike exchange, both guys are down. They trade roll-ups. Page hit a Deadeye, 2 count. MJF spit in Hangman's face. Hangman then spit in MJF's face. MJF pulled Bryce Remsburg to avoid the buckshot lariat. MJF hit a low blow and a heat seeker. Bryce Remsburg, he counts 3. Hangman has his foot on the rope, but Bryce counts 3, but he collapses. He does not call for the bell to ring. This was ridiculous. You mean to tell me that Bryce Remsburg had the wherewithal to count 3, but calling for the bell was too much? He was too exhausted. He couldn't call for the bell to ring after counting 3. Is Bryce Remsburg made out of glass? What are we doing here? This was completely ridiculous. This was one of the dumbest things I have seen in professional wrestling all year. This was stupid. This was a horrible creative decision by Tony Khan. MJF gets up, he's celebrating. Mark Briscoe comes out. Security and officials are holding him back. MJF realizes what happened. He panics. He runs towards Hangman. Bryce sees this and he calls off the decision instead of calling for a replay to verify that Hangman's foot was on the rope while he made the 3 count. I'm guessing Remsburg is also an idiot in addition to being made out of glass. Also, Remsburg, he came back to life as if he drank an instant heal potion from a video game. Bryce pushed MJF, Hangman hit a clothesline, MJF hit another low blow that got him a 2 count, MJF threw the CMLL championship into the ring, and he hit Hangman with the casino contract, which was inside the sealed briefcase. That got him a 2 count. Bryce stopped MJF from punching Hangman with the Dynamite Diamond ring, and then Hangman hits a devastating shot with the contract. Hangman hits a Deadeye and a buckshot lariat for the win. Hangman retains the AEW World Championship. After this match, Tony Khan made some changes to the Casino Gauntlet contract where if you want to cash in, you need to provide 1 week notice. And the reason he provided was, we need time to promote the match, the integrity of the championships, and something about not wanting to be similar to WWE's Money in the Bank. Let me tell you something, TK. You're probably never gonna watch this, but if you somehow manage to come across this video, I want to make something perfectly clear. You are a creative hack, Mr. Tony Khan. 3 strikes. This Casino Gauntlet match for the open contract could have been a great thing, but now, 3 times, you have failed in the execution of the contract. This new rule that you implemented is complete garbage. It makes the cash-in less exciting. Why the decision to reverse the initial cash-in was made, I have no idea why you thought reversing the initial cash-in would be a good idea. You failed with Christian Cage. You failed with Athena. And now you failed with MJF. The casino contract is a dead concept. So congratulations, TK, you have killed this concept. And that is unfair to MJF and Hangman Adam Page. They worked great in this match. They delivered a phenomenal match. This felt like a main event caliber match. If you wanted to make this interesting, why not have Bobby Lashley or Shelton Benjamin come out to cost MJF the match, being that MJF was kicked out of the Hurt Syndicate and he had a backstage segment with Ricochet and the Gates of Agony, and they cost the Syndicate the Tag Team Championships earlier in the night. You couldn't even do that. You couldn't tie that story into this. This was a great match, but the story, the logic gaps, the sheer stupidity on display, that transcends the quality of in-ring work during this match. Our main event, lights out steel cage match. Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Darby Allin, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Will Ospreay versus Claudio Castagnoli, Jon Moxley, the Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, and Gabe Kidd. The cage surrounded the entire ring, very similar to Hell in a Cell. Darby Allin, this is his first pay-per-view match since climbing Mount Everest. Hiroshi Tanahashi's last match in the UK. Will Ospreay, we had a career retrospective video package of Will Ospreay recapping his entire career. It was reported that Ospreay was going to be taking time off after Forbidden Door. This promo package was narrated by Alex Windsor. Will Ospreay got the loudest pop of the night. Crowd sang along to every word of his theme song. On the jacket that he was wearing, on the back it said "Attack for the Next Generation." And that was the line he said in the promo he cut after winning Best of the Super Juniors in 2019 against Shingo Takagi. And that was a great promo. Will Ospreay's entrance here was phenomenal. One of the best parts of this match. Entrance in the UK, crowd singing along to his theme. This was incredible. The one thing that I did not like about this was commentary during Will Ospreay's entrance was putting over Tony Khan instead of Will Ospreay. They were all saying what a great job Tony Khan has done assembling this group of wrestlers competing here tonight instead of putting over Will Ospreay. The Young Bucks have actually been one of the more entertaining aspects of AEW television in recent weeks. Every time they tried to make their entrance, they would always be trolled by production, whether it was the name graphic or the entrance music or Justin Roberts. Justin Roberts' ring introduction for one of the Young Bucks' entrances where he was reading a note, that was absolutely hilarious in my opinion. Their entrance here was hilarious and it got a great reaction from the crowd. Gabe Kidd is the IWGP Global Heavyweight Champion. For some reason, he did not bring the championship with him, even though this is a New Japan crossover show. The Death Riders, of course, entered through the crowd. I still can't believe this stable is still a thing and still the main event act in AEW. By the way, they were in the UK and they couldn't show Pac in the skybox or at ringside. They couldn't show Pac just like standing next to the Death Riders. I know that he's injured, but really, even Pac did not want to be a part of this garbage anymore. The heels rushed the cage and brawl starts, and this match was chaos, madness, and all associated words. This match was pure chaos and was pretty entertaining as a result of that. Tanahashi was playing the air guitar. He was attacked by Gabe Kidd. Ospreay hit an Enziguri on Kidd. Ospreay hit a Sasuke special on Kidd. Allen hit a great dive on Moxley and Claudio. We get the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi. The Bucks take control. Omega and Ibushi hit stereo Hurricane Ranas. Off-sync moonsaults to the outside on the Bucks. Darby Allin handcuffed himself to Jon Moxley. Darby hit a code red on Claudio while Moxley was handcuffed, and the handcuff broke as a result. Omega went for "You Can't Escape," but he failed. The Young Bucks hit a combination on Ibushi. The Young Bucks brought out a bag, and instead of being filled with thumbtacks or glass or Legos, it was filled with gummy bears, which got a great laugh out of the crowd. Ospreay hit a phenomenal forearm on Jon Moxley. Tanahashi hit a bulldog on the gummy bears on one of the Bucks. Kota Ibushi hit a stiff-looking German suplex for a 2 count. The Bucks hit a senton on Darby on an elevated ladder. Will Ospreay was bleeding. Ospreay hit a springboard on a ladder, taking down the Bucks. Ospreay attacks Moxley with a chair. Kid hits a pile driver on Ospreay. Bucks hit a stomp, sit-out powerbomb on Omega. Claudio hit the swing on Omega and catapulted into a super kick, fell back, and jumping kick by the Bucks. That got a 2 count. That was a great sequence by Claudio and the Bucks. The Bucks take down Ibushi with a double super kick TK driver for a 2 count. Claudio gorilla pressed Darby Allin out of the ring onto the steel cage. Claudio is great. Hopefully he gets that major singles push pretty soon. We get a 5-on-1 situation. The heels are surrounding Hiroshi Tanahashi. Tanahashi held his own for a bit. Moxley hit a DDT on Tanahashi. Claudio then taped Darby Allin to a chair. And Moxley, in one of the sickest things I have ever seen in 15 years watching professional wrestling, Moxley used a fork and he was stabbing the ear of Darby Allin, and blood started gushing out of Allin's ear. That was one of the most gruesome things I have ever seen in the 15 years that I've been watching professional wrestling. I could not believe what I was seeing. Commentary could not believe what they were seeing. The almost 19,000 people in attendance could not believe what they were seeing. Claudio then hit a body slam on Darby Allin after this while he was still taped to the chair, by the way. Allin was hit by a running knee. Tanahashi threw Moxley into a barbed wire board. 2 sling blades by Tanahashi. Neutralizer and BTE trigger on Tanahashi. 2 count. Ospreay drove Moxley through the barbed wire board. Omega hit 4 Snapdragon suplexes. Ibushi hit a kick on Moxley. Stereo Snapdragon suplexes by Omega and Ibushi. Ibushi did a springboard crossbody but looked like he didn't get enough height. Omega hit a signature Terminator dive. Tanahashi wanted to climb to the top of the cage, but he was stopped by Omega and Ibushi. Ospreay then climbed to the top of the cage and hit a moonsault off the top of the cage, taking out everybody. Great spot by Will Ospreay, legitimately the best wrestler in the world. Omega and Kid face off. Omega hit 3 V-triggers on Kid. Everyone hits their big moves. Ospreay hit a Styles Clash on Gabe Kidd. V-trigger Hidden Blade combination on Kid. Then another series of big moves. Omega and Moxley face off, the very first mega feud of AEW. Omega hit 2 V-triggers and a 1-winged angel on Moxley, broken up at 2. Moxley did not kick out. Allin threw Moxley between the stacked tables. Marina Shafir pulled him out. Allin threw himself and Gabe Kidd off the top of the cage through the 4 tables that were set up by Yuta and Marina. Ibushi hit a Snapdragon on Claudio. Omega hit a Snapdragon on Claudio. Ospreay hit a Stormbreaker on Claudio. Golden Trigger and Hidden Blade on the Bucks. Combination 1-winged angel and Hidden Blade on one of the Bucks. And closing sequence, Hiroshi Tanahashi hits the High Fly Flow on Matthew Jackson for the win. The good guys win. Tanahashi wins his last match in the UK. This was a very fun match. This match was incredibly fun. This was very entertaining and no question the best match of the night. I wish the Death Rider storyline would be a part of the past, but the storyline refuses to die. It refuses to end. It's literally a story that should be over, but is still continuing for some unknown reasons. There is a certain negativity associated with the Death Riders. Anything they're affiliated with automatically loses some points. All that being said, this was a very good match. After the match, the winners are standing tall, except Darby Allin because he's completely destroyed on the outside of the cage. Omega unlocks the cage, goes to check on Allin. Tanahashi, he shakes Will Ospreay's hand. Ospreay is alone in the ring, taking in the energy of the crowd, being that this is the UK. Ospreay legitimately was a hometown hero. That statement, Will Ospreay was the embodiment of that statement at Forbidden Door. Crowd chanting Ospreay's name, his music hits again, and then Claudio hits an uppercut on Ospreay as he's leaving the cage. The cage is lowered and locked. Jon Moxley hits 5 paradigm shifts on Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay sold these legitimately as if he was a rag doll. This was a devastating beatdown on Ospreay. Moxley then hit a stomp on a chair on Ospreay's neck. Samoa Joe, Katsuyori Shibata, Powerhouse Hobbs, everyone comes out. They try to break open the cage. They're yelling for the cage to be lifted. Yuta and Marina prevented them from entering the cage. The cage starts being raised. The Death Riders run away into the crowd. Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Darby Allin chase after them for a bit, and then everyone's checking on Will Ospreay. Crowd is booing. Wrestlers, medical staff, security are in the ring checking on Ospreay. Kenny Omega is yelling at the doctors like, how could this happen? And that was Forbidden Door. First thing is first, best wishes to Will Ospreay. This was a great match. This was a great main event. Like I mentioned at the start of this review, Forbidden Door is a dead concept. It's been run into the ground. Forbidden Door is a dead concept. If they're gonna do Forbidden Door next year, the only way you're gonna have it be compelling is a crossover with WWE, which is never gonna happen. In my opinion, this was the weakest Forbidden Door event held by AEW. This show had a couple of great matches. This was an overall good show, but this was also the weakest Forbidden Door event held by AEW. AEW does not produce bad wrestling. They have a great professional wrestling product. I just wish the story and logic would be on the same level as the in-ring work. Is that too much to ask? That is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. You can follow me on Instagram at Said_2000, and I will see you on the next video. Till then, take care.